tonight someone who can tell us all about not just law, but contract law, business law, real estate law, negotiations, dispute resolution, all the things that I don't know anything about. He is your brother-in-law. Please welcome David Himelfarb.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Oh, that was spooky. Jenks, owe me a Coke.
Let's go for soda.
Now, here's a thing that I just recently realized, David, and that is, like, I understood before that there is obviously, like, criminal defense lawyers, but I also kind of just thought that every lawyer did everything.
No.
Right? Like, I'm like, I could go to Marie Hennon and be like, I need a will, but I can't.
Right. No, lawyers do specific branches of law, and they specialize in their area.
I got a cousin that specializes in wills.
Right.
Specializes in doing that. That's how we have our will.
Estate lawyer. Estate lawyer.
Yeah.
So when you go to law school,
yes,
is it like being a doctor? You start out, you do the general, and then you choose a specialty? Or do you choose as you start?
We all get the same education in law school. We all take the same courses, more or less. And it's when you get into practice and when you get into articling, interning, that you would pick a specialty and if you wanted to, and go in that direction. Or you could be a generalist and try and do everything and refer matters out. Or you could do entertainment law or tax law or, any variety of maybe 1,000 areas.
Wow.
So it's really interesting. So if you, I just want one follow-up question. So let's say someone comes to you and they're like, David, I killed somebody, represent me. If that's not your specialty, ethically, do you have to say, listen, I don't do that, go to a different lawyer? Or what if you feel like giving it a go?
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want to give it a go. You want to go to someone who's done it before, someone who knows what they're doing. So when people come to me and they're in difficulties, criminal matter, then I'll find someone that I think is fantastic, and I'll bring them into it. And I'll stay involved in terms of dealing with the client. If it's my client, I don't just hand the client over. I'll stay involved and hold the client's hand and interpret. And the client has some solace in knowing that there's a friendly face, interpreting, saying, no, that there's some assurance in having someone close to you saying, that's right, that's fine, that makes sense.
Right.
There's a trust factor and a calming factor, which I find is very helpful for people, because usually there's some sort of stress or urgency involved and they're not thinking clearly and they just want some help.
Right. Interesting.
And there's different criminal lawyers. People have different skills. I've been practicing for 35 years. I've seen all kinds of lawyers in all kinds of situations, and I'm very confident that if you came to me, you killed someone or were accused of that,
it's probably going to be Ward, just FYI.
Of course.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Then I would. There's one or two lawyers that I would refer you to, or that I would bring into it, who I think are fantastic. I've seen them in action. I've been there in court with my own eyes, so I have no concern whatsoever that I'd be bringing in someone who wasn't anything but top notch.
Right.
What is dispute resolution when it comes to
Solving
law?
a problem.
Al and I have disputes all the time, right? So
you guys should have an arbitrator, obviously. A third microphone if you need it.
So when I'm like, you mix all the sodas, it should be called a suicide. And she's like, no, it should be called swamp water. We can call in a lawyer and take care of that?
Absolutely.
Is it usually like dispute resolution? Is there usually like money involved or a contract involved? Because, our fights are all really stupid. So, I don't know that bringing in the lawyer will be like, seriously, I don't have time for you two and your crap. As very soon David is going to say to us.
People are fighting. They have a dispute over something. It could be anything. It can be matrimonial. It can be a property. It can be contract. It can be any kind of dispute.
What's the most common thing that comes up in dispute resolution law?
No, it's not dispute resolution law. It's you have a problem. How do I solve this problem? So I'm going to go through the court system as one alternative. I hire a lawyer. The other person or the other party hires a lawyer. Very expensive, very time-consuming. Someone came to me and the parties wanted to solve the problem. There are other alternatives to going to court, which, as I say, is expensive. You can find an arbitrator. You can find someone knowledgeable. You can find a religious person. You can find anybody that you two agree that's going to be the arbitrator. That's going to be the person who's going to decide the matter in dispute. It might be, and it's cheaper. It's quicker. You may or may not need lawyers. So it's alternative dispute resolution. So you say, well, I want justice. You come to me and you'll say, this person did something to me, or this party did something, this company did something to me. I want them to pay for my time. I want them to pay my costs. I want them to pay for everything. And you explain what the system is. And it's not clear cut. People say, I want justice. This isn't justice. It's costing me money for the lawyers. How about my time? And you say, well, you don't get compensated for your time. And you may get some fraction or some percentage of your lawyer's costs if you win.
Interestingly enough, I have a friend who did a TV special, and the producers in that TV special went into a dispute with each other over who would ultimately have the rights to it. One wanted out and wanted a specific buyout, and the other didn't want to do that, and that's what they had to do. They had to bring in, but they brought in two entertainment lawyers,
right.
And the two entertainment lawyers then went back and forth, and eventually a resolution between those people was.
You
brokered.
don't want to get involved with the court process if you don't have to. It's very, very expensive and frustrating and time consuming. People come in, they're keyed up, they're excited, they're saying that they want to get the other person, and then you start asking for money, and then time goes on, and very quickly they get their enthusiasm dissipates, and they say there's got to be a better way, and that's where the I hate lawyers stuff comes from.
And I heard that the money you make ends up going to most like your fees. A lot of times,
lawyers are expensive, very expensive. They charge anywhere from $300 to $1,000 an hour, and then other rates for going to court, day rates. It's really expensive. It adds up. Even a small claims court matter, which should be, individuals can go if they want, but they're lost. They want guidance from a lawyer. Very expensive. If a lawyer is charging his hourly rate.
If someone has a lawyer on a retainer, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that person's constantly getting paid?
It means that for a monthly fee or an annual fee, the lawyer will do everything within his expertise to cover, to take care of all legal matters relating to a company or a person. Or that's what a person on a retainer would be. A retainer has many meanings. A retainer means a retainer agreement, the contract between the client and the lawyer. Retainer is a financial amount. You give me a retainer that I put in trust to be attributed or applicable to the costs, my fees. And then what you're talking about, I think, is something like a monthly retainer where all your legal needs are met by paying your lawyer or your law firm a certain amount a month.
Right, as opposed to, say, them coming back with billable hours. Like, this is how many hours we worked for you.
Right.
You're paying them just for the month, period.
Right, whatever comes up. Whatever comes up, if it's more hours than the retainer is, then the lawyer loses. And if there's no work to do that month, the lawyer gets the money without having to do anything that month.
We were talking a week or so ago about a case in Florida where a woman was suing the school she used to work for because she had applied for a teaching position that would have been a promotion. But she didn't get it because an hour a day of that position was teaching Spanish, and she didn't speak Spanish, and so she was suing them. And someone made the comment that they were like, this seems like a really frivolous lawsuit. Who's the lawyer that took it on for her? But if there is any legal standing, how can a lawyer... I mean, I can imagine if there's literally no legal standing, you sometimes have to say to people, listen, you don't have a case. But if there is anything and the person is willing to pay and you have the time, like, is there a responsibility for the lawyer to say, I'll do what I can for you?
There's a responsibility for a lawyer not to act frivolously or take cases that are completely unwarranted. But he also has a duty to the client. So he's going to do what's ethical, but at the same time advancing the client's interests.
Right.
What you have in the United States, and I saw it just last year, where it's contingency fee, where a lawyer takes a piece of. It's not like a personal injury lawyer. It's a person's. There's a lawsuit, and the lawyer says, "I'll take 30% or a third of what you get, and I'll take nothing right now." That tends to assist frivolous lawsuits because the lawyer is pushing it. The lawyer doesn't want to walk away from it, doesn't want to settle until there's a settlement, until he's getting his 30% or whatever he's getting. So contingency fee lends itself to frivolity,
right?
Vexatious
that
lawsuits.
Makes sense.
We are speaking to David Himelfarb. He is your brother in law, and you can check him out at @david.com. Tell us about the website. Hey, and good name, by the way, man, @david.com. Congrats on getting that one.
Thank you very much. The idea behind this website is basically what I've been doing for 35 years. If I don't practice in the area that you need, it could be tax, it could be criminal, it could be securities law, it could be any number of things, matrimonial law, then I'm going to refer my clients out to that lawyer. I'm going to bring that lawyer in. I'm going to sit down with the lawyer and my client, and the lawyer's going, and I'm going to basically I'm going to be by my client's side and make sure they're getting the best advice, that they're being well taken care of, and they're comfortable dealing with the legal process. So now I'm sharing the wealth of information and context that I've had over 35 years with people who have problems. So people who interact with the legal system are completely flustered. They don't know what they're doing, and they're very concerned. Let's just say stress or stress. A lot of stress involved and fear. And so I calm them down, and I make sure they're with the right lawyer. They don't know. You find a criminal lawyer, a matrimonial lawyer. I myself, with my clients, have been through many matrimonial lawyers. Now there's a couple that I use that I think are fantastic. They're really caring, and it's not all about the dollars. And it's a high-stress situation when you interact with the law. Generally speaking, you've got a dispute. You're trying to do something. Even if you're trying to buy a business, there's stress involved. You want to make sure you're dealing with the right people. So with my experience and my contacts, over 35 years, I feel very confident that I know all the right people in Toronto. And it's not just one firm. If you go, I cherry pick. I use different firms. My friends are judges. My friends are senior partners of law firms. And I have a wealth of knowledge that I can share with people, and I do. I do with my clients. So now I say, people need this. This is a service that I think will lend itself to and help a lot of people in Toronto.
Yeah, I would have no idea where to go if I needed any kind of lawyer. I would be like Yellow Pages. I don't know, and I feel like you don't want to do that.
You don't want to get advice from podiatrists, receptionists, kid brother, whatever.
Yeah.
This may be a lousy analogy, but I use it anyway. And I thought, if you're in Toronto and you have to take your car in to be repaired, and your brother's a mechanic in Ottawa, but you go to the Toronto shop and they give you this estimate, it's several thousands of dollars. It would give you great comfort to be able to send this to your brother in Ottawa and say, "Is this okay?" And your brother said, "Yeah, it's fine. It makes perfect sense." Okay, I'm calm. I'm not getting ripped off. So it's the same type of thing.
Well, that's a good. I think especially when it comes to big deals, right? Or money, or marriage, or you want to know that the person you are ultimately paying to represent you is good at what they do. Yeah, is good at what they do and knows what they're doing.
It's a good thing, actually, that that lawyers are specific, right? I mean, I had an immigration lawyer when I came here. I had a dispute lawyer once because of a show business thing, right? When I was a kid, I had a criminal lawyer. So, I mean, it's, there's...
Why? What did you do?
Are
you making this up, or are you just hesitating to say it?
No, I was...
Seems like you're making it up.
No, I was caught drinking underage in a club, and, but I wasn't drinking underage in the club. Someone handed me a drink, and I held it. And then literally a security guard, off-duty cop in the club, he was standing there watching, and this person reached over and handed me this drink and said, "Hold this." And I held it and literally grabbed me the second that person handed me the drink.
You see, much earlier, a good criminal lawyer would say, "Don't answer the question. Don't speak."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It was, by the way...
I tell him not to speak all the time. It doesn't work.
It was dismissed. Charges against me were dismissed. That's why I go...
But why were you in the club? How'd you get in the club?
18 and up.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, in the United States, there's a lot of clubs 18 and up, even though you got to be 21 to drink. So,
do you get like a bracelet for when you go to the bar?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so
I don't know why I need so many details on that.
I like that result.
I did not drink the drink. I didn't have anything like that. Went to court, had a criminal lawyer, went to court, and had it all dismissed and thrown out of court.
That's a good result. I've seen disastrous results.
Yes.
You have to have a good lawyer. You have to have the right lawyer for the right job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have disaster, especially in criminal law. It's almost any area, but with big consequences.
What's the weirdest case you've ever seen? Is there anything where you just go, "I can't even believe this is a thing that happened"?
I've seen lots of incredible things. I acted for Chubby Checker. Remember the twist?
Yeah.
And he sued McDonald's for $18 million for using his... they did a sound-alike. They had someone sing the twist to French fries, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And they're grilling Chubby Checker in my boardroom.
I do like the irony that they were grilling him and not frying him.
I know, it's terrible. Very good. And anyway, they grilled him for 6 days, calling him he's a copycat and just insulting him and just
Which is still better than they cook their food. Am I right? Sorry.
Terrible.
Too easy.
What I'm saying is
That's really funny.
They were grilling Chubby Checker about the sound-alike?
Absolutely. Saying you're a sound-alike, you're a copycat, isn't in your early career, just pounding him. But he's a nice guy. And so after 6 or 7 days and 3 different defendants, they all, they had all their lawyers and they're all grilling him. It's over. He gets up, goes around the table, gives the woman lawyer a kiss, hugs the other 2 guys. They ask for autographs. That was the most absurd thing after this grueling process. He gets up and hugs them and kisses them.
What a nice man.
He's a really nice guy.
Because I would be like, no, get out of here.
Sure. He should have been like, come on, baby, go F yourself. And then walked out.
Yeah. Nice
that would have been
that was odd. I mean,
that is weird.
No, it was odd because the lawyers on the other side, they didn't know this big guy gets up, goes around the table, and he's jovial and wonderful. And just they're watching their experts. They haven't seen that. They've been kissed by someone they were just
mean
for 6 days.
For 6 days.
Did he win?
We settled. It was fine.
You settled, so you did okay.
Oh, you said it was fine, which is lawyers speak for. Yes, we win.
Settled.
And by the way,
most cases settled.
Completely unrelated, Chubby Checker still making music. Released a song a couple years ago that I love called "Changes." Yep. So, interesting. Have you ever had? Is that the most absurd celebrity case you've had, or have you had another one that you can tell us about?
Do you represent a lot of? You do a lot of entertainment.
I do a lot of entertainment, which is not a great thing to hold yourself out in Toronto, sitting here in Toronto. This is Los Angeles and New York, but I'm a member of the California bar, too. But I was on the road with Kids in the Hall, and that was interesting for a few years, traveling on the road with them and producing their stage shows. So that was interesting.
What kind of legal trouble would get thrown at them? We were talking earlier in the show about comedians who get sued by people for being offensive or anything like that. Did they ever have to face anything like that?
Because they had a good lawyer on the road with them as their manager and their producer and their lawyer, they didn't have any problems. Kids in the Hall didn't have any problems. In terms of the rest of the world, in terms of among themselves being this disjointed family, and I played mother hen, my role was really a mediator in keeping things
right. You were the dispute resoluter.
I think they would agree with that. The guys they're immensely talented guys. But.
We've had them on the
for
show.
Sure,
yes,
for sure.
Right.
But anytime you have a group of people that work closely together and travel together, there's going to be times when you need a mediator.
And a history.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know anything about that here.
Right.
No.
We are speaking to David Himelfarb. He's a Toronto lawyer. You can see at david.com. If you're seeking a lawyer, that's the place you want to go to find one. Do you like being in court? Some lawyers love it, and some are like, I'd rather just avoid court at all costs.
The latter. I don't go to court these days too much unless I'm riding shotgun. I used to do it earlier in my career. I don't like it, but I have immense respect for people, for lawyers who are great in the courtroom. And I've seen people who are they're amazing. They're amazing in that the way they articulate a point, the way they tell the judges or a panel of judges what they're going to say and how they say it without notes. There's a few lawyers, I won't mention names, but they're great. They're just fantastic. I've never seen anything like it.
I think a lot of people don't realize, just like they say, most police officers will never draw their gun in their career. There's a lot of lawyers who will never go into a courtroom.
Right. And you have to be a litigation lawyer to do that. Commercial lawyers, people doing real estate law, they don't see courtrooms. They don't. That's not what they do.
That's great.
So the things you don't know about lawyers, right?
What do you think is the biggest misconception about lawyers?
I don't know the biggest misconception. The jokes, I get the jokes. They're funny. But most people, you didn't ask me this question, but I'll answer this question.
Lawyery.
It's a noble profession. I like being a lawyer. You didn't ask me if I like being a lawyer. I do like being a lawyer. I like helping people, and as I say, people come and they're in distress or there's a sense of urgency, and they're all discombobulated or in a state of high agitation, and calming them down, saying, "Don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. Just relax. You're not the first person this has happened to. Look at the Bible as an example of trauma." Any number of sources. So I like that. I like that a lot. And I like problem solving. So what did you ask me originally that I didn't answer?
What's the misconception about lawyers?
That they're uncaring, that they're money hungry, that they're sharks. I don't find that. I find all the lawyers I work with are caring. They do care. You got to pay them. If they've got weddings and additions and things and cottages, they do what they have to do. They live their lives like everybody else. But the people I work with that I use are dedicated professionals who are fantastic, who are just great at what they do, smart minds. They think about the problem, and That's what I find.
Very cool. Check out @david.com. That's David Himelfarb. Come back and talk law with us sometime, man.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot for being here.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you kindly.